Stop doing this when it comes to chipping, and it's something that no one tells you about. I'm here today to get your confidence back when it comes to chipping in the easiest, simplest way for you to take straight out onto the golf course, because I know how awful it can be when you're out there, you're feeling uncomfortable, you're thinning it, you're chunking it. So let's erase those in the simplest way. Again, I want to be seeing you chipping the ball in the hole. Before we get started, if I could just ask one favour from you, and it'd be hit that subscribe button. It takes 1 second to do, and it means you'll never miss a video ever again. So hit subscribe. It really helps me, it helps the channel, so thank you to every single one of you who have already subscribed. Right, let's get into it. Okay, so chipping. It's an element of the game that gets hugely overcomplicated. There are lots of different ways of chipping. You can see the flop shot, you can see the chip and run. There are lots of different ways. However, today I'm here to simplify it, again, in the simplest way for you to take straight out onto the golf course. Because when you're feeling unconfident with your chipping, it can be disastrous on the golf course. So there's 2 key points to today, and it's all about setup and technique, and then the club that we're using. Because again, I see it overcomplicated in so many ways, so let's just simplify it. So the number one thing that people don't tell you about chipping is that it doesn't have to be hard, it doesn't have to be complicated, and it doesn't have to be complex. We can make this as simple as we need to. And why? Is because all we require is a putt and stroke. The club's going to do the work for you because it's going to have loft. There's not a lot of body movement required, especially when we're somewhere like this. There's not much lift needed at all. So let's simplify it, break it down, and make it easy for you. Okay, again, there's lots of different ways of chipping. You can see the flop shot, we can see the lob shot, the chip and run, the pitch shot. I'm going to break this down to a very, very easy setup that you can do every chip shot and just change the club that we're using. I'm going to ditch the 60 degree. I see so many golfers overcomplicate this style of chip shot, any style of chip shot. They feel like because they see it on the telly, they see a lot of golfers, you know, setting up to almost a chip shot like this, open club face, they're having to pop it up high, they're having to perform some kind of miracle. I'm going to ditch the 60 degree. We don't need that. With saying that about the 60 degree wedge and creating miracles, there are situations where you do need to use it. There are situations where you need to flop the ball up high, but that's a completely different shot. And that's not what we're trying to do today. We're trying to simplify it again to show you that you don't always need to stick to that shot. We can just make it easy and lower your scores. I've got my 54 degree. This is like a mid wedge, okay? All I want you to do from here is think about a putt and stroke. Okay, so section number 1 is all about simplifying the technique in a way that it's going to feel seamless, it's going to feel easy for us. Okay, so again, not like we see with our irons, a big wide stance, we want a solid setup. Now, it needs to be close, it needs to be in like this, okay? Almost so that our arms are hanging straight down. And why is that? Very simple, like we said before. With our putt and stroke, we have a very upright setup. We don't have a wide, overcomplicated setup because all we require is the swing to work on its natural arc, straight back, straight through. So that's what I want you to think about here with your chipping, is that it's a putt and stroke. Okay, so I've got my 54 degree. I need to pick my landing spot. So landing spot's going to be about here. Okay, I'm going to put an X on the ground. Then from there, let's simplify it. Let's move in close. So hands are nice and close to our body, feet are close to the ball. We're shifting our weight to our lead side and we're bringing that ball position back ever so slightly. Okay, so I've got my landing spot. All I need to think about from there, again, it's a putt and stroke. So bringing our body in close to the ball, so we're not like this anymore, like with our irons or like with a pitch shot. We're bringing the club in so it sits like this, so that the toe is sat down on the ground. So it's not like this anymore, the toe sits up. Again, you can see how much this brings the shaft up straight. Then from there, again, as you can see, shaft is up tall, and then going to bring the ball position ever so slightly back in our stance. Feet are narrow and weight is ever so slightly forward. Okay, so from here, all I require is, again, swinging on the natural arc, back and forward, back and forward. You're going to feel the strike almost come out of this location, okay? It's going to take any heel strikes out. It's going to stop the bounce from digging into the ground, which is going to eliminate any chunk shots. It's going to stop you from thinning it through the green. It's just going to make everything feel super easy. So I've got my stance, I've got my landing spot. I'm just going to create a nice long putting stroke, and it's going to run up lovely to the hole. Oh, I'd be happy with that every time. Now, section number 2. I'm not too sure whether you watched my last chip and basics video, but I went into a lot of detail on this section, and it was all about using different clubs in different situations, or even the same situation. You can use from here, you can use a 60-degree wedge, a 7-iron, you can use anything as long as you're using this technique. That video is available on my channel, so go over there, give that a watch before you do continue to watch this, because as I say, we go into lots of detail and it's really beneficial for you to watch that. However, now, especially coming into the winter months where it's cold, our hands are freezing, this is where we can again eliminate as much power, as much kind of effort, and simplify it for our game. So again, from here, I'm ditching the 60-degree wedge and I'm gonna grab my 5-wood. I want to just show you that chipping doesn't need to be complicated. People don't tell you this. All we require is a putting stroke, a club that's going to get us there, and a little bit of confidence and commitment behind your swing. Now, I'm not advising you to use a wood on every single chip, no way at all, because there are going to be certain situations, like if I was a little bit further back here and I had to chip over the bunker, then again, I could use the same technique as before, but I'd need a higher lofted club because it needs to pop over. Whereas if I'm in a situation like this, where there's no lift required, it's a flat green, then I can afford to grab a club like this because again, it requires minimal effort. So very similar to what we said before, is pick our landing spot. So for me, it's going to be about halfway between the fringe of the green and the flag. From there, I'm going to bring this up high. I'm going to stand nice and close to the ball. I'm going to create a putt and swing like so. Again, ball position is slightly back in our stance. Our weight is slightly forward. Okay, so I've took my stance. I've picked my landing spot, considering that the ball is going to roll, I think, a little bit left to right. It's uphill, so I'm going to land this about halfway between the flag and the edge of the green, and this is literally going to run like a putt. So I need to get it just to land on the green, and it's going to run perfectly up to the flag. I'd be very happy with that on the course. But again, what I'm just trying to show you is that we don't need to overcomplicate it. We don't need to create miracles. We can just simplify it, get adventurous with every club in the bag. They're there for a reason. The tools to be used out onto the golf course. This isn't me telling you to create all kinds of crazy shots, grab your driver where you don't need to. But what I'm trying to show you is that chipping can be simple. No one's telling us that we can use every club in the bag. It's as simple as a putt and stroke. So stop being so hard on yourself. Get rid of the shot that you can't stand, the duff shot, the thin shot. Find the club that works for you, and I promise you'll drop shots and you'll feel so much confidence in yourself. Sometimes when you're on the golf course, when you're having a bad round, you've got the S word, shanks, or you just have no confidence, you just need a shot like this, which you know you can rely on. You can grab it out the bag, it's going to work every time. There are going to be some situations where this may not work. So again, if we're here, we've got to chip over the bunker, you're not really going to be able to use your 7-wood or your fairway wood. However, going back to the technique I showed you before, the exact same, using our most lofted club, our 60-degree wedge, simplifying it down, it's just going to be made so much easier for you. It's all about course management, understanding that from here, I don't need loft, I don't need the ball to pop up high. So get yourself a club which you know is going to work, you can rely on, you love, you'll feel so much confidence, and you'll see those scores drop on the golf course. And that is what no one tells you about chipping. Now, if you took value from today's video, then make sure you hit subscribe. It means you'll never miss a video. It helps me and it helps the channel. So again, thank you to every single person who has already subscribed, but you haven't, it takes 1 second to do. Make sure you hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.